So we're either... You all set?
It'll be early, yes. It'll be before we run the faces.
Morning. Everybody ready? Good morning, and thank you all for being here for one of the DA's weekly press conferences. Today we have a really important and interesting topic because we're on a roll. And what I mean by that is people who should be caught because there are warrants for their arrest for serious crimes are being caught. Well, we want to stay on a roll. So today we are going to be looking at 9 people who are wanted in homicide cases, and they're on the run. And we are doing this because it works. We'll get to it in a moment, but many of you may be aware that Zymir Hughes, the guy running around with the mask, that one, well, he's in custody right now. He was caught in Las Vegas. He is in custody at this time. Who's scared now? The running didn't work. There are reasons why the running doesn't work. And Zymir Hughes is in custody right now through excellent law enforcement work, including by U.S. Marshals, and he's in custody right now as the result of help from the community. You may recall a few days ago, there was a press conference about this case, which has garnered a lot of national attention at a time when Hughes was either in Las Vegas or on his way. It was covered live nationally by 2 major networks. In other words, they saw it. They saw that coverage as he was running or in the place where he ran. And he's in custody today. We want the help of the public. We appreciate the help of the public. We know that law enforcement is going to use its amazing technical and forensic capacity. I'd love to tell you about it, but I'm not gonna, because we want to catch these people. But the techniques, the tactics, the technology, the forensics that are being used to catch people that are on the run are very effective. And so we are not only here to encourage the public to bring these people safely into custody, we're here to encourage the people who are sought on these warrants to turn themselves safely in. It can only help them. It cannot hurt them. And it can avoid tragedy on the part of the people trying to effectuate the arrest, but also tragedy on the part of the people being arrested. All right. Let me acknowledge quickly some of the good people who are here. I'm going to talk very briefly about some of the crime stats, and then we will go into 9 individuals who have been on the run for homicides. We're going to give some specifics about these cases, not all the specifics, but the ones that may be helpful to people in the community who have information who can come forward. We are delighted today to have Staff Inspector Ernest Ransom of the Homicide Unit of the Philadelphia Police Department standing here with us. ADA Jeff Hajnowski, the Chief of the DAO's Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit, is here. As I go through these 9 people, they'll be adding additional commentary because sometimes there are additional details that they know that may be of assistance. We have Tania Leonard with us, the Director of the DAO's CARES Unit, Mariel Del Cruz, Director of the DAO's Victim Services Unit, and Donna Woods, Director of the DAO's Relocation Unit, here with us. Let me jump quickly to the crime statistics and then get more into this topic. So, simply put, I won't dwell on it too long. What we see today is 119 homicides through midnight of last night. If you take a look at the year 2025, last year, on the same date, the number was 149. There are 30 more people alive, 30 more people who were not killed in homicides than last year, and last year was, in Philadelphia history, a record good year. So we are, in fact, approaching the two-thirds point on the year at the end of this month. We are, in fact, well ahead of last year's record-setting levels. And as you look to your right, homicides year to date, you will see that the numbers are higher and higher in other years, even if you go back to two very good years, 2013 and 14. We are at a number that is more than 30 fewer than during those other years. We can get into the details of the why, the how, the who, but we all know it has been a very collaborative effort and a very important effort, and we are grateful for that. All right. So let me talk a little bit about what it means to bring in a fugitive. And what we're covering today would be some most wanted fugitives because the crimes are so serious and for other reasons. That may include their record. That may include the period of time that they have been sought unsuccessfully. I know that there are a lot of families who are dealing with very serious crimes committed against the loved one, sometimes homicide, and they can feel unseen, unheard, and forgotten, especially if the case is not covered heavily in the media or not covered in a continuing fashion in the media. We, all of us in law enforcement, want the community to know that law enforcement is not stopping its efforts to investigate and solve these crimes, and none of us are stopping our efforts to apprehend the people who have committed these crimes once they are identified. The 9 cases we're going to cover today are 9 active, ongoing cases. Every one involves a warrant that has been signed by a judge. Every one of these people is sought for the purpose of bringing them to justice. They will, of course, be treated fairly and appropriately for these very serious, very severe crimes that they have committed. But we need them off the street, and we need them in court, and we need to have accountability, and we need to have justice in that process. If there are people who have information about any of these cases, we're going to ask them to call 215-686-TIPS, T-I-P-S, or to call 215-686-3334, which is the Philadelphia Police Department's homicide unit. If you are a co-survivor, a witness, or a family member of a homicide victim associated with these or any other investigations, and you are in need of any kind of support, including trauma support or other services, please contact the DA's office, our CARES unit, which is the one that works intensively and exclusively with families of homicide victims in the aftermath of a killing. Please contact us at 215-686-8019. It is my pleasure at this time to invite Staff Inspector Ernest Ransom, who has been with us before and helps us on all of these important matters, to speak in general about the Philadelphia Police Department's commitment to solving homicide investigations and seeking justice for all of society, including families impacted by homicide. After Staff Inspector Ransom speaks, I'll come up to give the basics as we go through a slideshow. That slideshow will depict the faces of these people. You may ask why, because this office has had a very consistent policy that we don't put up mugshots just to put up mugshots. The answer is simple. We're trying to find them. We are not trying to paint a picture. We are not trying to be sensational. We're trying to find them. And so it has always been our policy as well that when someone has a judicially issued warrant for arrest and the issue is to locate these individuals, that we do use photographs of the defendants so that members of the public can aid us in bringing them into custody. It is my pleasure at this time to call forward Staff Inspector Ernest Ransom.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. First of all, good morning. My condolences goes out to the families of the loved ones here who lost their loved one. It's definitely a hard thing to happen, hard thing to go through, and our job is to make sure we do our job. As DA Krasner said, we're down up to 119 homicides thus far, down 30 from last year. But I think as everyone in here knows, that's one too many, 119 too many. So what can we do? As a community, we have to bring these individuals to justice. If you see something, say something. If you know something, tell us. You can remain anonymous. And one thing I tell every family of the homicide victims, the 119 we have here and the ones we have in the past as well, give us the information we need to actually go out there and search for these individuals. If you have a tip, no matter how slight it is, how little it may be, if you hear something on the street, give us a call once again at 215-686-3334. And we'll look into every single tip. Or you can call our tip hotline, or you can go online and do it via email. Nonetheless, we will look into every single tip. Our job in homicide is to do our job and to ensure it gets done thoroughly. And the only way we can do that is to get the information we need from the community as well. Again, my condolences go out to all the families of homicide victims, and our job, but once again, is to do our job, and I guarantee you this, we will do our job. Thank you.
Thank you kindly, Staff Inspector. I'm going to ask Jeff Ojnowski to stand over here, and Staff Inspector as well. At this time, we're going to go through the 9 individuals who are being sought. I hope to be able to come back in a few months and give a report card on how successful we have all been together. And by that, I mean with community, how successful we have been in persuading these people to turn themselves in and/or apprehending them somewhere else. The photograph you are seeing is of Christopher Coward, 39 years old, birth date March 28, 1987, wanted for the murder of 30-year-old Kenneth Singleton, which occurred at 8100 Stenton Avenue on May 4th, 2026. On that date, at 11:27 p.m., police responded to a radio call for a shooting inside the Uptown Cafe, which is a bar, located at 8131 Stenton Avenue. Officers located the male victim, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds there. Any other comment, Jeff? If there is, you got it.
This appears to be motivated by an argument. There was a mutual love interest between the victim and the suspect. This was captured on video. There were multiple eyewitnesses inside of the bar who are familiar with this individual who frequented that bar, who may know where he hangs out, where he goes. So if you know where he's at, please let the police know so we can do our job and hold him accountable for what he did.
Staff Inspector, anything? Yes, sir. All right, number 2, Isaac King Payton. Isaac King Payton, 27 years old, born 6/29/1999, is wanted for the murder of Tamir Coker Ruffin, which occurred February 2nd, 2024 on the 900 block of East Locust Avenue. On Friday, February 2, 2024, at about 6:03 p.m., police observed what appeared to be an auto accident involving a silver Nissan Maxima. When officers made contact with the victim operator of the vehicle, they saw that the operator of the vehicle was shot one time in the back. Officers also located an additional scene nearby. Anything else?
Just that I can check off this.
Yes, please.
In this case, this appears to be motivated by a carjacking or robbery. There are approximately 5 to 8 people involved. I know there has been an arrest made on at least one other individual in this case. If you know anything, not only about where Mr. King Payton's whereabouts are, but about the other people who may have been involved in this case, if you can speak up and say something. This appears, again, to be motivated by a carjacking or robbery. The victim appears to have been set up in this case, and there appears to be at least 5 but up to 8 people who are in total involved in this conspiracy to rob him.
Thank you. Number 3, Jacques Houston, 27 years old, born 10/17/2002. He is wanted for the murder of his father, Michael Houston, 38-year-old black male. On Thursday, March 19th of 2023, at 5:36 p.m., police responded to a radio call about a person with a gun in the 1500 block of South Dover. They located Michael Houston suffering multiple gunshot wounds throughout his body. The information here is that Houston was involved in a verbal argument with his wife, Jock Houston's mother. Jock stepped between his parents. A minor physical altercation occurred between father and son. The argument and fight then moved outside where Jock Houston shot his father, killing him. Anything else, Jeff? No. Okay. We're good. All right, number 4. Jalen Melcher. Now, this is one that you have covered in the past, among others, but this is one of them. Jalen Melcher, 21 years old, born July the 27th of 2004, is wanted for the murder of Sharif Holman at 1200 West Hunting Park Avenue and the murder of Martin Higgins at 900 West Hunting Park. On Saturday, June the 20th of 2026 at 10:04 p.m., officers responded to the area for the report of a male shot inside the park near the baseball field. Officers located the complainant suffering from gunshot wounds to the torso. Male was unresponsive and was later pronounced on the scene. District officers on June 26th, so that's 6 days later, 2026 at 10:55 p.m., 25th District officers responded to a radio call for a person with a gun at 1200 West Hunting Park Avenue. Upon their arrival, officers located the victim suffering from a gunshot wound to the back. This is the defendant who appears to be targeting members of the LGBTQ plus community. Mr. Hosnowski, you got something?
Yes. Thank you, DA Krasner. There's also a non-fatal shooting that we didn't highlight here because we're focused specifically on the homicides, but that non-fatal shooting occurred on May 29th in that same area, same motive. It appears that the victim in that case, whose name I won't put out because he is a surviving victim, appears to have been targeted because of his sexual orientation. Same motive for each one. They all appear because due to sexual orientation that they were targeted in that same exact location. We do have information that at least as of July of this year, that he was in Philadelphia, possibly hiding or being concealed or hidden by family members. I'm not sure if he's still in the area, but people do know him. He frequented that area where that West Hunting Park Avenue rec center was. And would often go there, from my understanding. Actually lived across the street from there. So I'm sure people in that neighborhood know who he is and would know where he goes, where he frequents, and where he might be. So if you know something, again, please speak up and let us know. We'd like to get him off the streets so that he doesn't hurt someone else, especially in that community. Thanks.
Thank you. Number 5, LaShawn Spruwell, 46 years old, born 8/21/1980, is wanted for the murder of Paul Rice on August the 2nd of 2026. So we're talking about 24 days ago at the 3100 block of North 29th Street. On Sunday, August 2nd, 2026, at about 4:20 a.m., police responded to 2900 West Clementine Street for a radio call report of a person with a gun, gunshots, shooting. Upon arriving, the officers located the victim lying on the highway, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to the chest, left leg, right arm, and right hip. Do you have anything else? All right. Number 6, Michael Reeves, 47 years old, born 11/20/1977, wanted for the murder of Khalil Ford on 9/23/2025 at the 2800 block of North Van Pelt Street. On September 23rd, 2025, at about 10:18 a.m., police responded to a hospital case, person with a gun at 2800 North Van Pelt Street. Upon arrival, officers observed an unresponsive black male, later identified as the victim, the decedent, inside of a silver Chrysler minivan. He was suffering from a gunshot wound to the chest. Anything else, Jeff? Number 7. This is Robert Laurie, 25 years old, born 11/18/2000, wanted for the murder of Shamir Collier on 11/21/2020. So this one's 6 years old, folks. Obviously, these cases cover Quite a time span. Wanted for the murder of Shamir Collier on 11/21/2020 at 100 West Queen Lane. On Saturday, 11/21/20, at about 11:21 p.m., police responded to a radio call for a person with a gun at 100 West Queen Lane. Upon arrival, officers located the victim lying on the highway suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to the body. All right. Number 8, Sharif Perry. Also a case that the media has followed. Sharif Perry, 35 years old, born April 7th, 1991, is wanted for the murder of Michelle A. Wilson and the critical shooting of Evans Tyree Wilson on 8/9/2026 at the 2800 block of North 24th Street. On Sunday, August 9th, 2026, police responded to 2800 North 24th for a person with a gun / shooting report. Responding officers encountered 2 shooting victims on the porch on North 24th Street. Victim number 1 was suffering from gunshot wounds to the torso and neck, was transported, and was pronounced. Her name is Michelle Wilson. Victim number 2 was suffering from gunshot wounds to other parts of his body, was transported. He was initially in critical and then stable condition. He is still alive at this time. I know that Jeff may have a couple more details on this one, and I'm sure a lot of you remember this particular case.
Thank you. This case was not random. This was targeted. The belief is that this was directly in retaliation, that both the female victim and the male surviving victim were both specifically targeted because their son had been recently arrested for the murder of this defendant's brother, the suspect's brother. And that is an active case. We believe this is direct retaliation for that. I can say that the family, the surviving victim as well as the decedent, both knew this individual's family, had known them for years, potentially decades. They both lived in the neighborhood. They knew each other. So family members of Mr. Perry would know the victims in this case. We're asking him to do the right thing and have him turn himself in so he can fight these allegations. And anyone in the neighborhood who know these people who are lifelong residents of that area, if they know where Mr. Perry is, if you can call, even anonymously, just call in a tip and just let us know where he's at.
All right, and finally, number 9, Abdul Hines, 26 years old, born 11/9/1999, wanted for the murder of Javier Tukes at 1700 North 16th Street on May the 31st, 2026. On that Sunday, May 31st, 2026, at 11:16 p.m., police responded to a report of a shooting, a person shot, at 1700 North 16th Street. Officers located fired cartridge casings on the highway. However, no victim was found at the scene. Police were notified by Temple University Hospital regarding a gunshot victim who had been dropped off by occupants of a U-Haul truck. Once inside the hospital, officers were informed that Javier Tukes, a 19-year-old black male, had sustained a gunshot wound to the back. We are grateful for the way Philadelphians, and as of last night, people in Las Vegas, people around the country step up when there is an effort to bring to justice people who have an active, judicially signed warrant for serious crimes. In this instance, all 9 are wanted for one or more than one homicide, and we look forward to help of the public in trying to bring these people to justice. You may recall we did a number of these with various other entities, including the Sheriff's Office, and we're able to report back months later that there had been remarkable success, not only in people being apprehended, but in some people turning themselves in as a consequence, and we are very grateful for the support of the public here and elsewhere. All right, without further ado, Walter Perez, Channel 6 ABC. Do you have a question, sir? No questions. All right, thank you. Channel 10, Telemundo, Jaime Becerril. Do you have a question, sir? Buenos días.
Fiscal, ¿cómo se siente de hablar del arresto de Hughes? Saber que el sistema funciona.
Ajá. Claro que el sistema funciona. Tenemos un arresto en la ciudad de Las Vegas, en el estado de Nevada, de un señor que tiene cargos serios sobre crímenes que él ha cometido en una máscara. Y el público, además de oficiales de la oficina de U.S. Marshal, de la policía de Filadelfia, han tenido mucho éxito en arrestar a ese señor. Vamos a asegurar cuando llegue en Filadelfia que él tiene una consecuencia justa. ¿Algo más?
Mi segunda pregunta y última. Me gustó eso que dijo Justice Kernan. ¿Cuál es el mensaje a los criminales como este que ha sido atrapado y los que son fugitivos?
El mensaje que tengo a los fugitivos es que tienen que rendirse, tienen que venir de una modo segura, solamente les puede ayudar, pero no vamos a tener un mundo donde hay gente que mata a otros y pueden correr sin consecuencia. Vamos a tener consecuencias y vamos a asegurar que los familiares de las víctimas saben que estamos a su lado en este esfuerzo para arrestar a los culpables. A usted. Brian Sheehan, Channel 10, NBC. Good morning. Sure, I'm happy to do that. So, as is the case with almost anyone who is captured in another jurisdiction, we have a process called extradition. What that means is there's an agreement among different states and different territories that if someone is wanted in one of those states, that there will be cooperation from local prosecution and local police. This takes the form of an extradition hearing, where a judge's job is to figure out whether the person in Las Vegas is in fact the person sought with a valid warrant in Philadelphia. We're pretty sure we got the right guy here, but the defendant has a right either to say it's not me, and I can prove it, or to say, all right, let's get this over with, I'll just go back to Philly. In many instances, people will say, let's just get this over with, I'll go back to Philly, but who knows? Someone who makes terrible decisions like this might make another terrible decision and decide to fight it. Regardless, whether we will have this defendant back in Philadelphia in a week or it'll take a couple of months, regardless, we are ready to go in prosecuting this case. It is a serious case, and we encourage the public once again, as we did before. If you are a victim of something that this defendant did, we want to hear from you. We want your information. If you're a witness, we want to hear from you. We know from video that there were many victims in a short period of time. But the warrant that was issued had to do with one victim in particular, the one who was seriously injured when she tried to run away from a terrifying situation. We look forward to prosecuting in this case, and if more victims are identified, we look forward to prosecuting in other cases as well.
Leaving this area just amplify this even more from your perspective?
I mean, it's rotten behavior, like all the rest of his rotten behavior. It probably will have some effect on the timing, because if he had been captured in Philadelphia, he would have had a bail hearing almost instantly. It probably will affect the timing a bit. It has not affected the charges, but understand at this level, at the time of arrest, on a warrant, the charges are a work in progress. They may be graded up, they may be graded down. I can tell you that the charges in relation to this warrant include aggravated assault as a first-degree felony, because the injuries suffered by the victim who fled were serious enough to put her in the hospital for a few days and require weeks of recuperation. It meets the legal standard for serious bodily injury. That is the highest charge. There are many others that apply, and we will be pursuing all charges that apply, regardless of whether somebody runs or not. It's essentially the same criminal act.
I guess what I should have said too is in terms of what you would be prosecuted.
Oh, 100%. I mean, one of the questions that bail answers is, will this person run? I mean, yes, obviously, he already has. There are other questions, like how much of a threat to public safety is the person, but running away is a real good way to get high bail, and we intend to pursue very high bail in this case as a consequence of that flight.
And then real quick, that was other question. Were you aware of any prior cases in Philadelphia County that you resulted in some sort of
I'm aware that Mr. Hughes has had multiple contacts. I don't have that record in front of me, but I have reviewed it. And I don't consider this to be, just a high school kid acting out. This is someone with a troubling history who is adult and who has to be reined in. If, whatever is necessary to do that, and in this case, I believe it includes incarceration, we will pursue. All right. Kelly Rule, Channel 29, Fox. I mean, that's not a defense. To terrorize someone who's out for an early morning run, and I know you're not suggesting it is. I'm just trying to answer your question. But you can't just say I'm an influencer and commit crimes. You can't just terrorize people, terrorize a community because the reaction of someone who believes she might die at any second you find funny. I don't think it's funny at all. I think it's awful. And if you're dumb enough to record it and make videos of it so we can use them in court, well, it's going to have an influence on the jury. Let me put it that way. There are many factors that go into it, but it doesn't do much good to put 50 photographs out there. It's just not reasonable to expect that information will filter. So we prioritize, in conjunction with the Philadelphia Police Department, we prioritize certain cases for different reasons, and these are the 9 we have today. There certainly are more, and we look forward to doing more of these events within the next few months. Thank you. Jillian Kramer, Philadelphia Inquirer. I am not ready to confirm one way or the other where there are going to be charges. We have made efforts and will continue to make efforts in conjunction with the police department to meet with the family of the off-duty police officer who died during this incident. I can tell you that we also, at this point, have a very active investigation that includes forensic testing of the gun that was used, which is now held by the Philadelphia Police Department. We also have received some information about what the shooter has to say about the incident, and that information needs to be vetted, needs to be investigated. So what I can tell you is that it's a very active investigation, that the case itself has some complexity to it, that we look forward to having the opportunity to meet with the family of the off-duty officer who died, to explain information to them, to show them some videos they have not seen, and to discuss what the next steps may be while we simultaneously continue to investigate. Is there anything else, Ms. Kramer? What I can say there is that there's been a lot of speculation based upon video that apparently leaked. There's been a lot of speculation on the part of the public, but I'm not going to comment on that yet, not at this time. Once we have come to a conclusion on the case, we will be able to say more. Thank you. Geisha Torres, Channel 65, Univision. Mi mensaje a la comunidad es que en un periodo breve hemos tenido éxito en arrestar, y cuando digo hemos, estoy hablando de los U.S. Marshals, de la Policía de Filadelfia, nuestra oficina, el público, pero en muy pocos días hemos tenido éxito en arrestar a este señor. Fue un buen trabajo. Es un éxito. Y por eso cuando vuelve el Señor vamos a buscar justicia y consecuencias justas en este caso.
La segunda pregunta es, ¿cómo la comunidad puede ayudar desde casa, ayudar en estos casos a atrapar a estos hombres que están buscando? ¿Qué les pide la comunidad para colaborar y que entre todos puedan hacer el trabajo?
Perfecto. Lo que yo pido a la comunidad es esto. Tenemos aquí fotos de personas que creemos hayan matado a otro ser humano. Tenemos que arrestarlos. Están corriendo en este momento. Y lo que necesitamos es si tengan información sobre uno o más que uno de estos casos, que llaman a la policía de Filadelfia 215-686-TIPS, TIPS, o pueden llamar 215-686-3334. Es el número de la policía que investigan a los homicidios. Y además de eso, si hay personas que han sufrido una trauma, una experiencia fea en cuanto a estos casos, mi oficina, la oficina del fiscal, tiene servicios que podemos proveer, y el número allí es 215-686-8019. Ok, muchas gracias. Mansadine, the Trace. Every one of these 9, well, the fugitive can be used more than one way, but in this case, every one of these 9 people has a judicially signed arrest warrant for the charge of homicide, for some charge of homicide. Most of them are charged with murder generally, meaning essentially the highest level of homicide. But in these 9 instances, every single one of them has a judicially signed warrant for a murder. That's a great question that I can't answer. Let me see if anyone with me can. Please.
So, as the DA said, we have highlighted 9 homicides here, but that's just 9 of 33 additional ones we have. Fugitive warrants for individuals who committed homicides. 33, again, and we have 8 who are awaiting extradition. So, again, we have 33 active fugitive arrest warrants for individuals who commit homicide, plus these 9 here. There's a total of 42. Yes.
Okay, so we know there's been a lot more homicide. This year we know there are 100. So this is a very low year here. So that means that most of these homicides not identified as appropriate.
So out of 119 homicides we have currently, we have arrested 54% of those. So you have to do the math right quick in your head, but that means there are close to 50-something left that we still are investigating. So we expect to bring those in as well, with the help of the public. That's natural. Naturally. You're welcome.
But a few years ago, you announced with Eric Lau and the police department still acting in that partnership.
We are, and this is what we're doing today is actually an example of the continuation of that partnership. The report card for the individuals highlighted in press conferences we did with the sheriff's office, for example, was actually quite good. And it was not just people being caught, it was also people turning themselves in because they could feel the pressure. You know, it makes a difference. It is helpful to U.S. Marshals. It is helpful to local law enforcement when someone who's a fugitive is feeling pressure. They're liable to make moves that will get them caught, or in some instances, they're liable to realize they're getting caught sooner or later, and it's time to try to cut their losses and to turn themselves in, and to make sure that at least during the process of arrest, no one else is hurt.
One more question. Of these 9 and of your 42 in total, what percent are gun homicides?
I suspect we don't know the exact number, but I can tell you that in general, we're looking at about 80% of homicides that are investigated in being gun homicides. So I would guess that among these, it's at least about 80% that are gun homicide. If we look at these 9 individual cases, I think, unless I'm mistaken, I think every single one of them involved a gun. Is that right? Yes, sir. All right. Thank you. Ralph Cipriano, big trial.
Mr. Krasner, how much money has your office spent to relocate hours and provide living expenses to the extended family of Rita Scott? She's a 23-year-old youth who's been murdered by a defendant at her office building and taking cases. This family was relocating even though they weren't witnesses or victims in the case, and their own lawyer has confirmed that there was no threat or danger to anyone involved. So how much is spent on this unnecessary expense?
The right amount. The amount that is necessary to keep them safe. I don't agree with a number of your other comments. I've spent time in the company of the family of Kata Scott. I've spoken to them directly. I'm aware of the circumstances in which we did what we felt was necessary to protect them, and I'm glad to hear that they remain protected. I'm not going to comment on that. The whole point of the program is to protect people, not to identify them for people who can harm them.
Even when they're not living threat.
Well, I appreciate you drawing that wild conclusion based on an anonymous source, but I don't agree with it.
Anonymous source, it's our own lawyers. It's the family's lawyer. The one that you put out a statement to call. Remember that guy? That's the guy. Did you personally authorize this unnecessary expense? And what explanation do you have for wasting taxpayers' money?
Well, first of all, I don't personally authorize unnecessary expenses, nor do I waste taxpayer money. In fact, it's pretty amazing the effectiveness that we are able to achieve with limited resources around here and that we have been achieving for many years. Perhaps, Mr. Cipriano, you actually saw the statistics, the numbers that indicate how safe the city is. And, of course, the numbers for how free the city is are also record-breaking. So I don't agree with any of those premises. However, I'm in a charitable mood. Do you have even more questions, Mr. Cipriano? It is indeed both of our lucky day.
How involved in the relocation of the Scott family with Mr. Elon Stewart, the director of community engagement, and they decide how to spend the money?
Many people are involved in any relocation. Often I am involved, directly or indirectly, in a relocation.
So you did approve it?
I either directly or by delegation approve pretty much everything that happens around here. Sure, there are times when something happens I know nothing about. That can occur. But, the buck does stop here. That's kind of how it works. Thank you. All right.
Yes. What was your question? So we know of 3 victims, 1 surviving victim, and then 2 victims who unfortunately lost their lives, all within the same time period, couple-week time period, all in that same location. There is information that some of those victims may have had their clothes partially either removed or down or something to that effect.
So this most recent victim has been added. When did that happen? Where?
So I'm not saying that he was added. We just didn't highlight it. I wanted to highlight it because it was a 3rd victim. It was a surviving victim. That happened on May 29th prior to the 2 homicides. It was the first victim in the series. And that person was a surviving victim.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all. Thank you. Sometimes life is hard. Oh yeah, that's my candy. In case my blood sugar drops.
¿Cómo estás? Muy bien.